to Lieutenant Colonel Tony Shaffer on this terror threat that is not going away because, to your point, Colonel, it's everywhere, right?
It's getting worse. Neil, this is a war of physical space and virtual space. Now, the physical space is simply what we're seeing here. We're seeing the Paris police, Paris special operations guys walking back that network. That's important. It's essentially kind of cutting out the wart for what it is. But, Neil, the other part of this is, Laura Ingalls talked about it in Brooklyn. We have a war of ideas going on. That you see these guys who are being recruited virtually, and then they cross over into the real world. They take training. And we just don't get it. And more importantly, on a global basis, ISIS, like a virus, is going about subsuming all of the elements of Al-Qaeda. You now see Boko Haram swearing allegiance to it, Abu Sayyaf. All these elements eventually are going to be essentially ISIS because they see ISIS as the strong horse. And therefore, they want to join, they want to be part of this global caliphate. So we have to fight this at both levels. And the President's request for authorization of use of military force doesn't address any of this in any adequate way. You know what kind of scares me about it all, and we've talked about this before, is truly the global nature of this and how clever ISIS is at marketing and using social media to do just that. I mean, even reaching out to women to join. Of course, the case of those 3 European young girls who were caught mid-joining. I guess I don't know if we have a strategy for that part of it, you know? Well, we don't. And I've been talking to members of the Special Operations community in detail. I was just talking to a former high official of the Obama Pentagon right before we came on air. We're not doing anything. The people who do this for professionally, Neil, have been told to sit on the sidelines and keep quiet. It's totally insane. The very resources, the very capabilities I worked with during the 90s and early 2000s have been placed on the sideline because the White House thinks that they can do this through this policy of wishful thinking. And again, this goes back to what I was saying about the request for authorization of use of military force. Neil, it has to be a global response, not simply with military force, but it must be hitting these guys where they live regarding the psychological use of media and the recruiting tactics they're using. We've not adequately addressed that yet. But what if they've already recruited so many numbers? If they're in all 50 states, if they're in all the Western countries, if they're sleeper cells everywhere, whatever you want to call them, then how do you dial that back if the queen bee herself has just spread wide? Well, you've got to go about going after them where they live. You've got to destroy ISIS in its heart. You've got to make an example of the leadership. We've got to kill the leadership. And to quote my friend, Oliver North, and I think some others say, we've got to go with precision and with determination to kill these guys where they live. Oh, Ralph Peters. I'm sorry, Ralph, my friend Ralph. And Ralph is right. We've got to go in there and get these guys gone, and then you go about dismantling the network. But we've got to get in there right now to get where they live and take care of business and then start dismantling the network. Otherwise, this will continue to grow. Yeah, as the recruitment numbers, Boko Haram and so many others in just the past few weeks. Colonel, thank you. All right, thank you, Neil. Well,